All right. Cameron, how have you been the last 2 days?
Good.
Which you didn't just tell me on take one of this intro.
Yeah, good. I've been good. Still good. I guess I should have thought to like throw you a curveball. Bad.
Yeah,
It's been
bad.
bad.
Change it up on us. Yeah.
No, I've been good.
Yeah, that's good. I have also been good, Cameron.
Yeah.
Everybody's good. Everybody's having a great time. Everybody's in good spirits. The weather is fantastic out. Honestly feels a little bit demonic. I went on a walk. I usually like to go on walks when I get out of work. I went on a nice long walk around the park, and it being still like 80 degrees and like, but also smelling like autumn because all of the leaves.
It's
are
very
falling off the
strange.
tree. It's like very disorienting.
We've mentioned before on the show, I'm sure 40,000 times, that like the room that I record in gets very hot in the summer. It's like it's hot in here right now.
Have you heard about this?
Yeah, you've seen this. You've seen this. You've heard about this. Yeah, it's incredibly zesty up here right now.
Yeah,
and it is currently October 6th.
I had my AC on last night.
Yeah,
bullshit.
This is why. Honestly, this is why. Well, okay, this is part of why, but this is part one of why I leave my AC in, because it's like you never know. Part two.
A little on the lazy
side. There's some. I mean, that shit sucks. Pulling your AC units out of your window. It's like oh boy. Until it's like snowing outside, it's pretty easy to just.
I have the big like portable like floor ones.
Yeah.
To get my whole studio apartment, and that's gonna stay there probably until late October.
Yeah.
I'll just move it out the door into the hallway.
Yeah, I used to have one of those, and I wish I still did.
Yeah.
When you're on the first floor in a city apartment, that's the smart move.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that window's getting locked when I leave.
Yeah, you're
during
not.
The day.
You don't want anybody. Creeping in, rifling through your things, disturbing Sancho,
sleeping in my bed while I work and toil. That's kind of like that'd be like a cool type of person that just breaks into your place to like they have their own place, but just to like sleep in your bed and roll around in your sheets.
The reason that I originally got an in-room like floor air conditioning unit was back, this is years and years and years ago.
Was that when you were living in Taunton?
I was living in Taunton, Massachusetts, and I was living with a girlfriend, and there was a rash of break-ins like in our neighborhood.
Well, you lived in like a rough area too.
I did. And there was a rash of break-ins in our area where a man was breaking into first floor windows and getting into bed with women and just like snuggling them. Ooh. And sometimes their like significant others were there, and so like I was really freaked out at the idea of waking up to like some strange guy trying to spoon.
Yeah, the snuggler,
the serial snuggler. And let's be also fair that it's I think it's rare that someone who does that stops at snuggling.
Yeah,
I think it's rare that is scratching the itch forever. So I said to myself,
they just want some warmth.
Yeah.
Obviously, still illegal in stand your ground territory, but they're just looking for a little comfort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were, and I splurged for the air conditioner and went to Home Depot, got some thick wooden dowels and sawed those down to fit in the window frame. It was great. Never got surprise snuggled.
Yeah,
and it cooled the room down nicely. Now sometimes you got to empty the water.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
that's the other downside.
Yeah, yes, you do have to do that sometimes. Mine doesn't get too bad with that, but nope. So anyway,
this is left unread.
Yeah, this is left unread. We're coming at you with a special episode today.
Yes.
Where we had an excellent conversation with old Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld of the Fourth Reich Archaeology podcast.
Yep.
And we had a blast. We loved talking to them.
They're nice guys.
Yeah, also kind of, like we were joking too, they got kind of a bit of a vibe like we do, where there's one extremely online co-host and one much less online, at least on X, the everything app.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you get like a little bizarro thing going on there.
Yeah, it was funny. We realized kind of most of the way through, I think, that Dick and I are way less poisoned
Yeah, then
and I don't know them personally, obviously, but it's funny to imagine that it's similar. That being said, I am still a deeply unwell person. It's just not because
Cam likes to poison his brain with TikTok and Instagram Reels.
I haven't used TikTok in a long time, but Instagram Reels still happen.
Yeah,
and there's crazy ones.
Instagram
I sent you
Reels.
one the other day. It's a dude. He's like, the timing is impeccable. The whole reel is like 30 seconds. This guy sees one of his donkeys about to take a shit. I think he's in Brazil,
yeah.
and he's like power slides under it, hand out, catches a baseball-sized turd, turns around, and pegs a guy right in the stomach with it.
His very, very fat friend.
Who was shirtless, yeah. And man, it was just so great. It's like, how much time do you have to spend watching the donkeys poop?
Oh, yeah, he knows
the snag turn whip. And
it's not like he was waiting for a while. That hand came out and immediately got a fistful of donkey droppings.
Yeah, that was one. It's sort of an impressive display of athleticism, but also kind of nasty, which is the sort of thing that I like to send. Evan.
Yeah. Honestly, you sent me a pack of them today while I was at work that I have to catch up on. You know what I mean? Like, I'll look at them, but I feel like most of them they really hit once you listen to them with sound. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You look unconvinced that I'm actually going to watch them.
You know what, man? Listen, you actually watching them is not that important to me. It's
the act of sending.
It's the act of sending, and I think part of that is like it makes me feel like when I get that stuff, it's because I think it's funny to send to people. Yeah. Not for some personally fulfilling dark reason.
It's not because you think I will love it. It's because you just want to have been the guy who sent me that.
You're just who I can send that stuff to. I don't have like a lot of people that I can show a lot of the stuff that I see on Instagram too. Yeah. I am plugged directly into a very strange quadrant of the psychosphere on Instagram, and the thing is, maybe it actually is because my only engagement with a lot of that is to send it to you. So maybe that's my subtle way, because I can't have my likes showing up on that if it pops up on someone else. Like I can't have people thinking that I like poop videos. But what I can do is send it to you, and then the algorithm's like, all right, I'll keep sending.
Yeah, he's definitely down for the poop.
He's definitely down to see this guy
for the poop and piss.
Like a lot of it's really just like this. There's one guy who's like, I'm gonna paint Cristiano Ronaldo using my own shit, and then he does smear his own poop onto a piece of paper. It doesn't really look like Ronaldo. And I got to the end of it and I was like, I don't think that photorealism was the point. I don't think that he was doing that because he thought he was gonna nail it. Yeah. I don't think that's what it is for that guy. Yeah. I think it's holding the poop and smearing it around. I think that's the part that he likes.
Yeah. All right, well...
you get to the end of it, you're like, wait a second. You're no artist. So anyway, tell them about the episode you put together.
Yeah, so anyway, at the risk of us devolving into one of these types of episodes, there is actually a real episode that's already been recorded.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's it's done. So without further ado, let's
roll that beautiful bean footage.
We're going into our little time machines. Back to Saturday, October, what was it, the 5th?
Yeah.
4th. Saturday, October 4th.
Yeah.
See you on the flip side. All right, folks, we are coming at you today with an extra special edition of the Left Unread podcast. As always, I'm Evan, and I'm joined by my co-host Cameron, and we've got a couple guests on today. They are the you know them, you love them. I would say most of our fans are probably aware of the Fourth Reich Archaeology podcast, but we are here with Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney themselves. That's right, folks. We are here with the murderers from the Bush administration, Don and Dick. What's going on, my friends? How you doing? How are you doing on this beautiful Saturday?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for having us. Glad to be here, fellas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, this is the podcast episode almost a year in the making, I believe. Don, I reached out to you initially back in what was it, February or something like that, before I had my unfortunate foot break back in March that kind of derailed a good part of this podcast ourselves. But we've been talking about this for a while. We're finally here.
Luckily, nothing has happened since then.
I swear, dude. It's
been a light newsreel.
Yeah, I mean, the actual nature of what we were going to talk about in this episode has changed so dramatically since Don and I first started conceiving of it. Because, folks, we are in something of just lightning speed a stream of events here in the second Trump administration. But we're here. It's seems kind of a little bit demonic that it's about 80 degrees here in beautiful New England, despite the fact that leaves are turning and falling all over the ground. Seems like we're here for another round of summer, and we're also here to discuss something that Don and Dick, you guys have really you've really been hammering home on, especially in your Geopolitique series. But we kind of wanted to take a look at the second Trump administration here, the last year in American history. I mean, probably not the last year of American history, but who knows? But the last occurring year in American history through the lens of Guy Debord and his Society of the Spectacle. So, Dick and Don, I don't know. I feel like maybe to start off, if you guys want to kind of give our listeners here some conceptualization of that, if you want to introduce Guy Debord, the Society of the Spectacle, and kind of what all of that means.
Yeah, sure. So, thanks again for having us on. And
yep.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
No, I said that not much has happened, and in some respects that's true that not much has happened, but at the same time, if you are looking at the world through this lens of the spectacle and the related concept from Guy Debord of the eternal present, you could almost say that not that much has happened, because everything that does happen fits neatly right back into the same model, into the same set of recurring events and almost self-fulfilling prophecies that run the logic of our fucked up society.
Yeah, we're sort of at a point of arrested development as a peoples. We're stuck in this loop.
Yeah, no, we are. And there's other things, I think I had this conversation with my mother a couple weeks ago. One thing too that has really I don't know, has almost been sort of psychedelic in a way for me, is how much the internet really has just crossed the mucus membrane between some kind of different sort of culture that wasn't really part of the real world, but it's broken through that mucus membrane now, and it's the internet has fully seeped through everything in our world, everything that's going on. And I was talking about it to my mother, and I was it's fucked up that my mother knows who Nick Fuentes is. What a groiper is. It's I'm sorry, but my I won't say her age, but my mother should not know what these things are, and it's just this really fucked up thing, I mean, as I'm sure Don, you are extremely online, such as myself and Cameron, and as somebody who's been plugged into all of these weird subculture, like internet subcultures dating back for like 20 years. It's just like really insane to me how much so much of this has just like permeated the culture now.
Yeah. I realize I diverted from your question, so maybe we'll get back there for sure. But to bring it back to old Guy, he emerges from the 1960s. Guy Debord, he's born in early 30s, so he wasn't fighting in World War II, but was alive during that period of time, and never went, despite being a famous intellectual, never actually got a college degree. So that sets him apart from a lot of other intellectuals of the era. But basically, he comes out of this period in time after the war in Western Europe when kind of we've used the show Mad Men as kind of a heuristic in our discussions, like the era of the rise of the spectacle, the transition from everybody is fighting for survival or dealing with these harsh conditions of war and the destruction in evolving towards a consumer society where you are bombarded with images, goods, and the commodification of every aspect of life. And that kind of supplants the old Marxist lens where, Marx had theorized that everything was just going to get progressively worse for the proletariat under the conditions of industrial production until inevitably class consciousness would sweep like wildfire and they would throw off the fetters of society. And what the society, the spectacle, observes is maybe not, maybe the proletariat can be bought off somehow or be so
things would get smoothed over, like basically because of the development of the service economy and your iPhones, and you're able to go get your cheeseburgers and stay entertained and all of that, though there would never be that reckoning between the proletariat and those in charge.
Yeah, and of course he didn't have iPhones. He was predicting this shit with like a television with like 8 blurry channels, but nevertheless really put his finger on the pulse.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's so crazy to me is that, like, I'm reading this, like, and when you read The Society of the Spectacle, you're reading this and you're like, dude, this could have been written, like, 2 years ago.
Totally.
With just the, like, the shot across the bow and so much of this about because he's, like, predicting, especially there's, like, parts of this where he, like, kind of predicts how the economy is going to transform even more in the latter half of the 20th century, and then obviously kind of like implied that it would continue in the 21st century, and it's like really I don't know, it's like as I was reading this book, and it's funny, there were parts of it that like I felt like, man, I was just like vibing really hard with Guy Debord and just like right there. Then there are other parts where I'm reading it and I'm like having to reread sections 5, 6, 7 times to like really like nail down what he's saying. But I think it's like really interesting. You read this, and then you sent also his update to it that he wrote about 20 comments on the Society of the Spectacle 20 years later. And I think it's also interesting to read that too, because like and we'll get into it I guess a little bit later as the episode goes on. But comments is really funny because I mean it's much more almost like so like Guy Debord, less than 10 years after he writes comments, he would commit suicide, and you can really like see his like almost despair come through when he's writing comments. And then there's also like a lot of interesting parts in it where like he's like really getting into like some paranoid stuff in it. Like he's name dropping Propaganda Due, he's name dropping like the Brabant killers in Belgium, and talking about like the kidnapping and assassination of Italian Prime Minister Aldo Moro, which he also which was ostensibly by the Red Brigades, but that he also links to P2 in certain ways.
Yeah.
He's also like getting into like Operation Gladio and stuff, and all of this, like, what year was it written in? Like 1988, I think,
Exactly.
something like this. Right, and like you're just like all of a sudden you're like, okay, like this guy was like really like keyed in to, I guess, some of the more like paranoid kind of goings on behind the scenes in Europe.
Yeah, part of that I think is based on his experience post writing the first book. That he writes the first book, it's published in 1967. It's kind of a blueprint or a eye-opener for the movement that becomes the famous May 68 Paris student uprisings, where there's massive, I mean, the amount of social disturbance, like hopefully maybe we're seeing the beginning of something akin to that with the dock workers strikes going on in Italy and elsewhere in Europe right now. But it's something that in my lifetime, I was, I think we're all about the same age, like elder millennials, I guess you could call us. And never, other than kind of the Iraq War protests, which were totally an example of the spectacle and the spectacular absorption of dissent, but nothing like Paris 68. And he witnessed the way in which the whole protest movement became commodified. And in real time, his theory was kind of proved correct. And he talks about that in comments, that, the greatest like historical event to be rewritten by the spectacle is Paris 68, and gotta imagine that just fucked him up in the head big time.
American blood, American brains, American shit swirling all the world's drains, and every time you flush, somebody is getting paid. All this machinery, it wasn't cheaply made. We pulled out the stops, we spared no expense, perpetuating a system that's built on violence, the control of which is best left up to us. 'Cause we're the only ones who have the tools to keep it up. There is always risk involved, creating problems to be solved. But we specialize in manufacturing narration, converting tragedy into consolidation. An aberration in the heartland of the real. Forget your thoughts, we're gonna shape the way you feel. An aberration in the heartland of the real. Why don't you have a seat? I'd like to make a deal.
Yeah, and also another example, at least during our lifetimes, would be like the Occupy movement. You know what I mean? Like how much that just got like completely reabsorbed by the system to the point that like like Occupy is like a big like pro-democratic. I don't even know if they're like a PAC or whatever at this point, but like what I mean, like they're like at least their online presence is like super like pro-democratic party.
Tim
But
Pool.
back to
I'll kick it to you, Dick, in a second. Did you guys see that Tim Pool's media company was valued at $800 million? Speaking of Occupy.
Fuck out of here! Are you serious?
Yeah, fucking joke.
Oh my god.
Sorry, Dick.
I was just going to say, like, as we're doing this contextualization of Guy Debord, I think it's important to note the broader, he is one of the founding members of that situationist movement, the Situationist International,
Yep.
And I think started in the late 50s. And so he was keyed into that network, right? As this like international organization of like leftists and avant-garde artists, and so he was definitely like plugged into the European scene broadly.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, like you said, there's one quote that I really wanted to get to, because you mentioned about, like, the buy-in from the proletariat, and let's see, I'm going to go to, which one do I want right here? 43 workday. Okay, so, here, this is inside of heading 43 in Society of the Spectacle. He says, whereas during the primitive stage of capitalist accumulation, political economy considers the proletarian only as a worker who only needs to be allotted the indispensable minimum for maintaining his labor power and never considers him in his leisure and humanity, this ruling class perspective is revised as soon as commodity abundance reaches a level that requires an additional collaboration from him. Once his workday is over, the worker is suddenly redeemed from the total contempt toward him that is so clearly implied by every aspect of the organization and surveillance of production, and finds himself seemingly treated like a grown-up with a great show of politeness in his new role as a consumer. At this point, the humanism of the commodity takes charge of the worker's leisure and humanity, simply because political economy can and must dominate those spheres as political economy. The total denial of man has thus taken charge of all human existence. And so this is what you're talking about, where as sort of like an amendment to Marxism, like the system itself would require like sort of collaboration with the very working class that it is oppressing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But yeah, so I guess I don't know if you want to we're kind of just taking a look here at Trump, this like second Trump administration. So I suppose maybe we should kind of go back a little over a year ago to everything that happened in 2024. Does that sound good?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So seems like forever ago. But we look back to the total Brandonification that was on display in 2024. So it's a long road to get back to the second Trump administration. But we start with, I guess, Biden's decline. Obviously, he was in decline already, I think, heading into his victory in 2020. But we have him shitting his pants on stage at the debate. Just having like a severe dementia episode, just like right there on stage. And then I remember I was sitting there, I was like on my way to the beach with somebody, and when the news came out that like Biden suddenly announced that he was dropping out, and now I'm trying to think of it, which happened first? Was it Biden's dropout or Trump's assassination attempt?
The
dropout
so
was
close
first.
together.
Yeah, they were.
The
And
dropout
now
was first.
yeah, I should have double checked this before
Are you
we started
sure?
recording.
I thought the Crooks one happened, and you were like, "Oh, he's definitely cooked now."
Yeah.
They were both
Yes,
in
no,
the
it
round.
did, yeah.
Yes, you're
Yeah,
absolutely
you're
right.
right,
Because
yeah.
we had that exact conversation, right? Like
Yeah.
the assassination attempt occurred, and
And
I remember
everyone's
saying
like,
to
"Yeah,
Evan,
he's-
we
Trump's
were like,
gonna win
there's,
now."
like, that's it. Like, there's already no momentum.
400 electoral votes. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like he's in, and I think that it was in response to that the Dems were like, okay, we obviously need some sort of attempt at a momentum building
Right.
moment.
We can't kill him,
Right.
but we can humiliate him
Right.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, for thinking back to that era, it's for me the moment is like maybe the year leading up to that moment. Was it June with the debate where he really
Yeah, I think
shits his pants and like everyone's
Yeah.
like this? It was just like hard to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that whole year leading up and even before, where you're not hearing much from Joe Biden. When you are seeing him, it's looking pretty bad.
They intentionally kept him pretty out of
Well,
the spotlight.
There's serious decline happening, and then
Yeah.
at the same time, the media, the press, the public, the government, whatever, people around you, everyone is pretending like everything's fine. Thank God we don't have to think about the news every day. That kind of shit where
back to brunch, yep.
He's doing great, and the ship is back on course, and that dissonance, the sort of like, lying to your face shit, that for me did it. I was like, well, he's definitely going to lose if he runs.
Yeah.
Plus, he also said he wasn't going to run in 2020, right? He was like, I'm just going to get us back, and then...
Well, I think he always played coy about it. If I remember, he never specifically said he wouldn't run for re-election, but he always kind of at least let that implication be there.
Yeah, that was always the sort of like heavily implied and I think generally accepted, but I don't recall. I don't know.
Him actually saying that.
But I remember we all seemed to think that.
Wrong.
We all felt like that was promised.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I was just like, of course he's not going to run at whatever 82.
Yeah, he can barely
He'll be
speak
dead
now in 2020.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
but
I also
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I know. I was just gonna say, like, to that point, like, it was extremely jarring. Leading up to that I think we said June debate, which became the sort of galvanizing moment for everybody. When all of a sudden everybody that was on board and was like, oh yeah, no, he can't run. But leading up to that, the narrative was so obviously that, like, well, not only is he fine, but if you don't agree that he seems fine, you're the problem. And that sort of approach to events following that up through the past year, I think, is something that Evan and I have talked a lot about, how more and more, like, you encounter these moments of dissonance where you're like seeing something with your own eyes. Yeah. And you're not only being told that, like, what you're seeing and what you're observing is not true, but that if you even consider it to be a possibility, you're, like, mentally ill and need to be...
And, like, oh, what do you want, Trump again?
Like, how could you even think that or voice an opinion like that? It's harmful to society for you to even suggest that this guy looks like...
harmful to democracy.
You're sundowning Pep. Like, he's not looking good. And
dude, I mean, I just remember all of the images of Antony Blinken leering right behind Joe Biden whenever Joe Biden's speaking, always like he's holding like a syringe, filled with a cocktail, ready to like spinal tap him if he starts going off course and talking about driving cars down Rehoboth Beach or whatever.
Right.
I bet there were staffers.
Just gaslighting.
I bet there was
on
a staffer.
Scale.
Yeah.
Like, no shit, bet there was someone on his team that was, like, counting the minutes they actually needed him on camera. Like,
100%.
All right, guys, from here to November, we have 8 hours on camera. Like, we got this 90-minute spot, and then another 90-minute spot, and then we're home free, and then the world doesn't have to see him again for 4 years. So,
yeah,
it really felt like that.
Yeah, and I feel like the degree of kind of inherent cynicism to a scenario like that had to be present for anyone involved in, like, doing, like, kind of a weekend at Bernie's scheme like that. They're all so culpable in what's happened since then. It's like, how could anybody that was actively propping this man up, like, I just it's wild.
Yeah,
well, and then you can make a ton of money being like some asshole like fucking Ezra Klein,
right?
Who like tries to get credit for now admitting, oh yeah, it was a mistake to run him against. Like, you don't get credit for saying that in 2025.
Yeah, is mistake the right word? Right? Like, is it a mistake because it didn't work?
Didn't Jake Tapper write a book about the media cover-up of Biden's cognitive decline as, like, classic hot dog costume guy?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like,
we need to find out who did this.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys were so happy to take advantage of the old man who was clearly not fit. You know what I mean? You were getting all these good scoops. I'm sure you had all these people in positions that you could get all these stories from to get your big beautiful ratings boosts and whatnot. And then when he goes up there and, like we said, fills his diaper on stage, and it just becomes impossible to justify it anymore. Then a year later, everybody who was justifying it and saying to you that, you know, oh, done, like you said, just gaslighting you, telling you that you're insane for thinking that he's not fit, are now making all this money and doing these podcast spots and writing these books about how, yes, it was actually a mistake to let him run again.
And it fits in really well with the idea of the spectacle, too, because the gaslighting is not limited to one discrete issue or another. Mm-hmm. You know, we can't forget that this was also happening as Biden and his whole administration greenlit and totally financed and committed, you know, in legal terms, are guilty of the crime of genocide that they helped Israel carry out from October 2023. And that is another area of culture where now, of course, the book title, I can't remember the author's name, but that book title, Someday Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This, is starting to come true. But we lived through it where it was Karine Jean-Pierre going on the White House podium and saying anybody who points a finger at Israel for anything that they're doing is a disgusting anti-Semite. And of course, it easily plays into the Trump regime's agenda because they're not wrong when they say, oh, you're criticizing us? Well, when Biden did it, you know, where were you when Biden did it? And of course, all of us fucking communists are like, well, yeah, we were saying the same shit the whole time. But
yeah, right. Well, yeah, so it's also a Matthew Miller, the fucking psychopath spokesman. He was another one of Biden's spokesman. Was always up there with
smirky
this, like,
dude, right?
Yeah,
Smirks.
fucking shit-eating grin.
Dude.
Answering questions, doing the same thing as, you know, just denying that all of this was happening. And then he comes out and he, like, makes all these comments. He was like, well, you know, as the spokesman, I had to say things even if I didn't agree with them, or, you know what I mean? That I had my
you have to do it with that shit-eating grin?
Yeah, like,
tell
yeah,
it to
like
the judge, perp.
Yeah, for real though, and like, yeah, again, same thing. Like you said, it's like there'll come a day where everyone was always against this.
Give me American blood, American brains. I'll lend you the horse, but I'm holding the reins. You'd better hold on tight because the ride is getting rough. If you put up a fight, I just might have to throw you off. So get in the car, and don't say a word. We need a wolf to keep an eye on the herd. If you don't get it now, I guess you never will. No more practicing, nah, this is not a drill. It's really happening, you've been programmed to kill. An aberration in the heartland of the real. Forget your thoughts, we're gonna shape the way you feel. An aberration in the heartland of the real. Why don't you have a seat? I'd like to make a deal. I can offer you the next steps on your path. You'll want for nothing, but you never can go back. Psychosis is the sentence for your crime. Accept it gracefully and start serving out your time.
Yeah, so, you know, obviously during that, there is that specter looming, the whole of the Israel, you know, the Israeli genocide on Gaza, like looming over the whole spectacle of 2024. But I guess like maybe like also during this, and wow, I'm starting to get to the point where I say this every fucking episode, but like the movie Eddington, like that's like a big thing in it too, where you have this whole spectacle of like the left wing in the United States, the like sort of like pompous centrist libs, and then the right wing all battling each other on their own. And then, but in the background is this like, just like this looming evil of the Silicon Valley, like Christo techno fascist alliance maneuvering to basically capture the entire kind of landscape. And also, maybe I don't know, like Don, you want to talk a bit about this like political shift of the tech billionaire class that's kind of going on at this time?
Yeah, I mean, I have posed the question in our little outline. Like, obviously, looking back, it did happen that all of this tech money that was built up during the Obama years. I mean, Obama was the most Silicon Valley friendly president of all time, and it's not even close. Like, the coalition behind Obama consisted of all these guys. Musk was on side, Zuck was on side, and all of a sudden they decide to put all their chips into the far right, and it's like, it's been kind of done to death. The aesthetic of it all too, like with Zuck taking on the dude bro physiognomy, and like
the thick cotton shirts with the chain and the curly hair and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's like, were they ever really interested in these woke political causes that they pretended to champion while they were enriching themselves off of government largesse? Apparently not, because they heel turned on a dime away from that shit and are now all in on the anti-woke, the quote-unquote meritocracy as a substitution for DEI and elimination of affirmative action and of public goods. I mean, obviously they have a strong financial interest in privatization of everything, because they have taken over everything. Like, industrial manufacturing is like a subsidiary of the tech industry. Everything is kind of subsidiary to that. So I think it's interesting how, on the one hand, they helped cause the outcome of Trump winning the election, but at the same time, I think more likely they just saw the inevitability, kind of as we all did, that like, this fucking ship on the Dems is not sinking. It's already sunk. Like, if there's one hand coming over the surface of the water, God bless it. But that ship is underwater and it's not bailing out anytime soon. So, and it is again spectacle, because the disturbance of causal relationships from the point of view of the spectator, where you can't even distinguish what's causing what versus the forces moving behind the scenes that you're not even privy to. And the takeaway, regardless of what's really happening, is you don't have a say in it. You can't do shit about it. The powers are much greater than you could contend with.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to even, like, remember in 2020 when the Jack Dorsey-led Twitter nuked the Hunter Biden laptop story to the point that, like, you couldn't even send the link over DM. Like, they were, like, screening DMs, and they would nuke the story. Like, you couldn't send it over DM. You, of course, couldn't post it. And, like, so in a certain way, I think, again, like you said, they understood which way the wind was blowing, away from Trump 1 to the Biden administration. And so they were obsequious there. But it was really with when Elon, bought Twitter and changed it to X, the everything app, that you sort of start to see that transition away, back towards the right.
Yeah, and it's also funny how it all happened with Kamala, who's from the Bay Area, product of the same Northern California milieu in a lot of ways as all these tech bros, and yet is a real stand-in for the controlled demolition of woke.
Yeah.
Like, she is checking these identitarian boxes and made that kind of her pitch as a politician in a lot of ways. And of course, all caveats, none of this is meant to reflect on any of those identity categories or people who may belong to them. Kamala Harris is among the most... Sorry, I didn't want to talk over my dog barking. Among the most talentless, venal, and pathetic people of any race or gender. But the fact that she was imposed as the forced candidate of the Democrat Party for 2024, again, lends credence, or at least from the perspective of the true believers, lends credence to the narrative that, the DEI is forcing these totally unqualified people on us in every sector of society. And, like, that's probably not true in every sector of society. And in the Democrats, it's like, that is just their brand that they chose to run with that candidate. And it fucking worked.
3 elections in a row. They forced Hillary Clinton, then they forced Joe Biden, and then they even, at least there were primaries for those two years, but then with 2024, they just did away with the sham entirely. They're like, no more rigged primaries now. It's just going to be Kamala. And, I think it's very funny that, like, a lot of people, like, there's this, obviously, like, this big, like, attempt to save face about it all. It's just like, oh, well, Kamala didn't have long enough. She didn't have enough time to run, like, a real campaign. If she had longer, she would have done better. And it's like, when she first got announced, I was like, yeah, the problem with Kamala is that the more she talks, the more you realize that she is just an empty husk of, like, ambition. Like, that she doesn't believe anything. She'll agree with everybody about everything, depending on who you talk to. And it's like, actually, no, I think she probably would have had the best chance to win, like, 2 days after announcing that she was running. Like, that was probably her like, peak. And then, like, just the more you hear from her, the more you sit there and you go, oh, man, there ain't shit going on there.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that, that moment, right? As much as that was such a fumble, right? There was this moment where, the Democratic Party could have been, like, seemed like they were willing to field somebody who was even, like, marginally more interesting or exciting or tempting to, like, votes from people, further left of center. They fumbled that, and they said it's going to be Kamala. But even just the force of that, sort of surprise, the seeming acquiescence to the idea that, okay, look, we hear you. This guy obviously isn't who we should be running. Here's this other alternative. If they could have just, like, held a snap election and not given her a chance to open her fucking mouth, they could have had a legitimate shot. But it's like, and Evan and I kind of talked about this with other friends. Like, as every week went by, it was like just moment after moment of her just poking little holes in the ship just by being herself. Just by being the person she is. She successfully eroded, like, what could have been, like, the political comeback of the century, like a total victory from the jaws of defeat, and instead it was just, like, defeat from the jaws of defeat. And it was I don't even like thinking
just
about it.
I think you nailed it, Cameron. It's like, you knew she wasn't going to make it when Joe Biden, the news gets out that he's not going to be running, and then we really didn't have a nominee for a couple. Like, it wasn't clear that she was going to be the nominee for a while. Like, remember there's the, like, murmurs of Gavin Newsom maybe was going to do it, and I think when that was happening, you sort of knew that she just didn't have if the vice president isn't going to be the person that is the obvious choice, if that's not such a clear answer, you're toast.
Well,
she doesn't have the sauce.
Yeah, Obama himself was, like, angling to have an open convention.
Yeah,
like,
there was
what I mean. So it's
a little.
The Obama Clinton sort of like, kind of like the ongoing war between Obama and Clinton was sort of, like, on display there, because Clinton apparently had ingratiated herself to Kamala I think in the weeks after Joe Biden made a doo-doo, and she kind of like, I think, saw the way the winds were blowing and wanted to like force Kamala into being the candidate, whereas Obama wanted the open convention. I know there was talk about him like really like he's like a big Deval Patrick guy, former governor of Massachusetts, which
Capital,
is just another.
Right? He's another Bain Capital alum, I think.
Yeah,
or Boston Consulting. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Mitt obviously was Bain, but
yeah, maybe Deval was. He was definitely a finance guy. I think maybe it was Boston Consulting.
Yeah.
One of those fucking things. And yeah, Biden didn't endorse Kamala right away after she announced. That was like a big slap in the face. And the whole time, another great villain for our spectacular age, Dr. Jill Biden.
Yes.
That she was the one that came out after the disastrous debate and was like, "Didn't Joe do a great job?"
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think she really enjoyed being president, so I don't think she wanted to give up the mantle. Like, I would say there's probably a pretty good chance that we already had our first woman president.
Dr. Jill.
Just a shadow president.
Well, I think it was also the wife of Woodrow Wilson was also
and Nancy
serving.
Reagan.
Nancy Reagan
Fair,
and Warren Harding, I think, also his wife. So presidents.
Jerry Ford's wife as well was very influential in the Ford presidency.
Got to shout out Betty. Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, so we have, I guess, maybe like moving on here after 2024. I mean, I think like as we were conceptualizing this episode as well. I really like. I think this was probably like Tuesday or Wednesday night as I was doing some work on this. I just remembered, it came searing into my head again. It feels like it's been so long since this happened, but the ominous start to the year. The obviously we have as we talked about, this sort of like Christo-techno-fascist alliance comes together and really spearheaded, I would say, behind the scenes by Peter Thiel. I think we all here understand that like he likes to work more there, but Elon Musk, a doofus that he is, really wants to be kind of like the figurehead of sort of this kind of thing, this shift in air quotes of the Silicon Valley techno elite to the conservative side. Elon Musk is kind of like sort of at least the figurehead of that. And we have the inauspicious beginning of the year. If some simulacrum of this had happened in ancient times, I think, say the Romans or something like that, I think they would have maybe not gone to war or something like that. But we have the Cybertruck explosion in front of Trump Tower. Which again, like I had, this is from the Special Forces operator whose name is Matthew Livelsberger. Life is Burger, which just like every part of it. It's just like if you stare at it for too long, I feel like you go insane. But again, you have this guy just blow up a Cybertruck with himself in it in front of Trump Tower on January 1st of 2025. And the guy's name is Life is Burger.
I totally forgot this happened before it made it to the outlines. I'm going to be honest. I was like, oh, damn, that happened. And now when I was reflecting, I was like, when it happened, I was like, oh, this is fake. Immediately. I was like, this has got to be staged.
Yeah. Yeah. We have that. And then also just a few hours before that, there was the attack in New Orleans that happened around like 3 a.m. also on New Year's Day.
Yeah. Another truck guy.
Another truck guy, another
analog truck.
Yeah. This guy was also a veteran as well. And he just like drove into a crowd and then started shooting people. And then he had like an ISIS flag in the trunk.
That was like recently purchased. Like he just bought
also
it. And still had the creases from the Amazon delivery box or whatever.
At this point, I think Don and I had the theory that the Trump fan bases could be accurately reduced to just truck guys, whether it's Cybertrucks or your F-150s.
Ford F-150s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your Raptors,
Yeah, and I remember that Livelsburger thing, that it also gave a big boost to the Slopperator podcasting community, the likes of Sean Ryan and Sarah, what's her name? I can't remember
Not sure.
But these guys that were like getting secret communications from Livelsburger's troop mates and stuff, and they just fit very well into the whole sort of grabbing a lane of moldable, malleable minds of spectators in this mix, and telling them, okay, sit down, just listen to what we're going to tell you from our $1 million podcast studios in wherever, and they kind of fall under the wing of Tucker Carlson and promote this brand of Christianity that really ties the history of the last 20 years or so together, the clash of civilization stuff, and supports Trump, but also I think sees the end of Trump's vitality on the horizon, and are very much planning to be the next force to step into that void and kind of take the right-wing flag forward and run with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it is interesting to consider what will happen after Trump, I suppose. He's been doing, I don't know if this is a weird joke for him or actually true, but like he has like the Trump 2028 hats and whatnot already. So, I mean, who knows? But yeah, no. So, this was sort of like I said, that this is like an ominous start to the year. I mean, I feel like I had always America is always violent. It's been violent for a long time, and I'm not really sure if I'm just having some kind of recency bias, but it feels like especially like this year, and that the violence has really ratcheted up to like a new kind of boiling point or something like that. I mean, like, and it starts again with like the attempted assassination, Matthew Crooks against Trump, him standing up saying fight, and so you have that, and and then obviously these, I guess the Cybertruck explosion isn't really a terrorist attack. It's sort of, I don't know, a guy was just bored or something.
No, that's a feature of the truck.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he actually parked in the puddle. Yeah, he parked in the puddle.
The trucks that don't explode.
In American drugs, in American pain, the name of the game is called going insane. And the players are about to go all in. And when they bet, the house will always win. So go with the flow, move it along, pretend that you don't know the theme of this song. Just drop it in the bucket labeled rock and roll. As we continue to pursue total control. Who are you to deny us of that goal? Much better to accept your predetermined role. An aberration in the heartland of the real. Line the piggies up, I like to hear them squeal. An aberration in the heartland of the real. Don't bother sitting now, you'd best get down and
one.
Oh wait, should we clap?
I don't know. No, time machine.
It's tearing me apart. Okay, yes. Now we're back to Monday, October 6th. Wow, that was a fun little journey through time and space.
Yeah, I know you can't really tell it to look at me, but
Yeah.
I think my molecules got rearranged while I was in the time portal.
Possibly a fly got stuck in there.
I'm Italian now.
I'm definitely not doing a podcast with you anymore then.
Wow, dude, this is sick. I feel different, dude.
Yeah. Yep.
In some ways better, in some
Yeah.
ways worse.
Yeah. Well, so this has been part one of our conversation with Fourth Reich Archaeology. Cameron is now an Italian American.
Yeah.
He's really into when they paint that like
yeah.
center line on the street with the tricolor.
Yeah.
He really loves those.
That was
And he actually protests when places take those out. So
yeah.
But anyway, yes. So if you are a fan of the podcast, if you really like what we do and you would like to give us your money, there's one quick and easy and clean way to do that, and that's by going to www.patreon.com/leftunread. You can go there. You can contribute a small monthly amount to help keep the podcast going. If you are on an Apple product, do not use the Apple app. Do not open the App Store.
Alert.
Download
Alert.
Patreon. Yeah.
Alert.
Info hazard. Do not use the Patreon app on an Apple product because which was it? The guy who runs Apple now, I can't even remember.
Is it Cook?
He's gonna.
It's not Cook anymore, is it?
I'm not sure, but he's gonna stick his hand into your pocket and he's gonna get his own tithe, his own blood tithe of an extra 30% of whatever you donate to us. So don't do that. Just open up your browser. You can do it on your phone. Go to www.patreon.com/leftunread. You can also help us out in other ways. If you can't afford that, that's fine. Times are tough.
That's fine.
Everybody has to live lean. But you can help us spread by word of mouth. We're largely a word of mouth podcast, so you can tell your family, you can tell your friends, you can tell the guy standing next to you at the Charlie Kirk Memorial Foundation rally, hey, you should listen to Left Unread. You know what I mean? It's a good podcast. And you can also rate and review us on your podcast app.
You can listen to us while you're looking for a place to park your Cybertruck in front of. Well, anywhere.
Any number of towers named after.
I wouldn't park it in front of a federal building, but usually there's no parking there. But I would say maybe some sort of like a if you were trying to park in front of like a hotel. If you're trying to park in front of like some sort of a business tower.
Yep. Anyway, yeah. So you can do that. You can and if you have the truck filled with fireworks, or
groceries.
Or groceries. And
I will say you shouldn't leave your groceries.
If you happen to leave some kind of note behind for others to find, if anything happens to you, write down Left Unread in that little letter right there.
Yeah, dude. Definitely. Yeah, we're encouraging you all to shout us out in your manifestos. That's the sort of situation that we not only are willing to weather, but we are looking
actually
forward to
endorse. Yeah.
I think as soon as
we avow, yes.
I think that's when you know you've made it as a podcast is when you get brought up on like the CNN talking heads examination after a tragedy. When they're like, and he was a big fan of Left Unread.
Yeah, just the little news chyron going off at the bottom.
The listeners are rolling in.
Yeah.
Radical dirtbag left. I don't even know if that's still a thing they say.
Radical nihilists.
Yeah. These freaks.
These radical meme lord nihilist freaks. Yeah.
One of them is really obsessed with poop and farting on cake, and the other one is clearly a revolutionary terrorist communist.
Yeah. And they told you, thanks for listening.
They said thanks for listening.
And stand back and stand by.
Yeah. And good night and good luck.
Bye.
Yes. Pause.